Today I wanted to talk about how to follow your bliss because we talk about it a lot and yet it's so elusive for so many of us. And here I'll explain why it's important, and the second thing, how to put it into practice every day of your life. So first of all, it's important because following your bliss means that you align with your authentic energy. You're aligning with your energy, with your power, which is the same thing. And based on that, you're making decisions, you're taking steps in your life. And you came here to be yourself, so that's the way you need to live. I mean, I don't see any other way. It's when you do that, you'll see that whatever you want, the choices that you're going to make are going to be aligned with who you are authentically. And so they're going to be more expansive. You need less to rely upon what other people think, what the outer world feels, but you will feel so trusting in yourself that it's going to be easier to make those decisions and stick by them. Things like procrastination. Usually procrastination means that there's a part of you that doesn't want to do it, and maybe that part doesn't want to do it because you shouldn't be doing it. And so the more you follow your bliss, the easier it will be for you to understand why certain things are harder, why certain things are easier. And it will be easier and easier for you to make the aligned choices, right? So because I'm saying easier and easier because we have lived so many years of our lives completely out of alignment, basing ourselves on what other people tell us to do, on outer rules and regulations, that it's a process to get back to yourself. But it is possible, and the more you're aligned with your compass, the more you practice following your bliss, the easier it becomes and the more empowered you actually feel. Especially nowadays, where, as you've noticed, surely, that everything seems so... The truth feels unattainable, elusive. It's like one thing happens today, there's a truth today, and the next day it's something completely different. And everything seems unstable. And it's very destabilizing for all of us. And that's because, for me, that's the outer world, that's the mirror of the outside world telling us that we really need to step into what is solid, what is stable, which is you in this moment, right? You need to go back to yourself and base everything you do on yourself and not on other things. So how to get there, how to follow your bliss. So number one, when I say follow your bliss, it means the feeling that you have is this feeling of aliveness. You feel life. You feel your life energy. There's a feeling of animation, a feeling of curiosity. That curiosity is that inner child in you wanting to go towards life and wanting to take in life, wanting to live life. So that's the feeling that you get. And when you don't have, and an example that I can give you is when you eat. Have you noticed that at the beginning, when you want to eat and you're hungry, the food is very, you feel it in your taste buds. It's like it explodes in your mouth, right? And so there's that feeling of aliveness there. It just animates you to eat. Every part of you wants that. And you eat, and there's that moment where it becomes bland. That means your bliss is not there anymore. It's dead. And that means you stop there and you don't continue. Because you're done. Now it's time to go on to another experience. And so the more you do it, the more you will see this, oh my God, I'm so alive. I feel so animated. And then it falls down. It means it's done. It's dead. You go on to the next thing. And so you can ask yourself, what is it that I want to do now? And start looking at the different options that you have in front of you and seeing which one animates you the most, and take that on and go ahead and do it until the animation fades away. And then you do it again. You ask yourself again and again. The more you do that, the more natural it becomes, and you'll see that at some point it's not work anymore. It just naturally, you go from one bliss to the other, from one animating experience to the other animating experience. It will, because you've aligned now. And so that's one of the things you can do. Another thing that you can do is, for example, when you have a day off, you can, or whatever, if you have, give yourself a few hours. And then in those hours, just start listening to that inner animation, that inner buzz, and let yourself be taken by that and led by that. So if you have to go, for example, let's say you're walking and you go to the right, you have two options, to the right or to the left. Stop yourself, take time, and ask yourself which one animates you the most. And what will happen is that the one that you take always, regularly, usually is the one that will animate you the least. Usually. I'm not saying always, because our ego wants us to be in comfort, so it will take us onto the same thing over and over again. And that same thing is dead. It's flat, right? But at the same time, we're afraid, that part of us will be afraid to go onto something new. But your bliss will want you to push the envelope. And so it will want you to go onto new paths, into the unknown. And so it will take you somewhere else, and you'll feel it. You'll feel that buzz. And maybe you'll feel a little bit of fear. Then feel into the fear and just let that fear wash through you. Tell yourself, I'm so sorry you're so scared. I'm so sorry you don't trust life. I'm so sorry novelty petrifies you. I'm so sorry you just want to hide. And you just, let that part of you that is scared, you just take it in and hug it. And it will go away, because it's just a sensation in your body. And if you feel into it, well, you've taken it in, done. That's healing. And then you take to the right, because that's where the buzz is, the animation, and you take that. And now you're stepping into the unknown. And you can, and you go further and further, you go ahead doing that. And you'll see these incredible moments, little adventures here and there, synchronicities. And maybe not. Maybe in that moment, the only synchronicity you'll have is that you will feel so alive. And what better way to live than feeling completely alive, right? You'll just feel in bliss being with yourself. Is there a better gift? And of course, that brings in many gifts in life. So you can do that, right? Give yourself these moments, these hours, let's say, in your life where you practice being in bliss. And when you do that, it will just naturally, it will install itself. I don't know if there's another way to say it, but it will become a more natural way of living. Another element you can add is sometimes it's very hard for us to know whether we're animated by our life or whether it's anxiety, or whether, for example, many times when people are afraid of following their bliss because they're like, but if I followed my bliss, I would be eating chocolate the whole day. If I followed my bliss, I would be just sleeping and doing nothing else, or I would be lazy, right? And if you feel that you can't trust yourself, there is a reason why. And that's because, again, we're not habituated or to listen to ourselves. So we don't really understand the cues of our bodies, of our psyche. So one thing that you can do is that when you're not sure, you can sit down and question it. For example, let's say that in this moment you need to binge or have that sweets, right? And you can tell that it's not really your bliss, but it feels like it. It's animating you. It feels good, right? To think even about it. So in that moment, you can sit down, take a little bit of time. Don't restrict yourself. Don't tell yourself you can't have it, it's bad. No, that's not it. Just sit down, tell yourself, I can have that, whatever it is that you want to have. Afterwards, let me just give it a little bit of time. So sit down and imagine having that cake, for example, or anything else there. And imagine really having that and eating it, swallowing it. Imagine, just feel into how it would make you feel. And in that moment, you're tapping into that feeling, and that feeling is going to tell you exactly what you need in that moment. And maybe in that moment, you will want to feel pleasure. Like that cookie will give you pleasure, will give you soothing. So that's what you need. That's what you want. So go towards that. And it can be going towards another person next to you and telling them, can I have a hug? Can you just massage me a little bit? Can I just be held? Can I just be listened to? Right? It can be anything. Once you tap into that feeling, then you'll be able to know what is it really that you need in that moment, and go towards it. Take, the necessary steps towards it. For example, another one can be cigarettes. In this moment, what would fill me with bliss, quote unquote, right, are cigarettes. Before going for that cigarette, and again, don't restrict yourself, go inside of you and start asking yourself, and start imagining you having that cigarette, smoking it. What is it in that moment? What are you feeling? What is it that you want that cigarette to give you? What is it that you think that only that cigarette can give you? And now you will identify what it is. Because maybe in that moment, if you're having that cigarette, if you need that cigarette, maybe you're with someone, and that someone, you don't feel good with that someone. That someone scares you. Maybe that someone, when you smoke, it's almost like you're trying to, how can I say, repress what is happening, what you're feeling in your lungs, in your chest area. Maybe there's a truth there that you're trying to burn out by smoking. Or maybe through that smoke, you'll feel better, you'll feel more hyper in front of that person, because otherwise you're scared. It's just an example that I'm giving you. But it's actually the moment you do that, you go and imagine what that thing can give you, what you're asking for that thing to give you, that substance. And you tap into that feeling, you feel into it, you will know what the bliss is. And in that moment, it could be for you to go away, not to be there. For that moment, it would be maybe for you to understand that you don't feel good with that person, that you're scared, and you go into coping mechanisms, right? And going away will be what will make you feel alive. Listening to yourself in that moment is what will make you feel alive. And yeah, let me just end it here. So to wrap it up, following your bliss means that you are following your life's energy. And that will make, number one, it will make your life full. Because when you follow your bliss, what happens is you will see that time just runs away. I mean, very fast, because you're so taken by what you're doing in the moment. You are so wrapped up in it, and you love it. You're enjoying it completely. And so what happens is that your life becomes fulfilled. Following your bliss is really being one and true to yourself, and starting to trust yourself, knowing yourself better, and being guided by your higher self every moment of your life. And on top of that, being connected also to other people. You're really connected into the world wide web. And so you align with everything around you, and the decisions you make are going to be very aligned and empowered. Okay, let me know if you have any questions or any comments down below, and how you follow your bliss. I'd love to know that. Ciao, ciao.